What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Tankers Tank Rise post-tank show. The Blazers have successfully tanked to 5th best odds in the tank race, and we'll discuss that. We'll run our first Tankathon sim with true 10.5% odds at our savior, Eric. And the Blazers today get crushed by the Kings. They scored a lot more points than last game, but still a blowout loss. They actually kept it close. It was like a single-digit game there in the fourth quarter, and then the Blazers find a way to lose by 24. So, tank things. Tankers are going to tank, and the Blazers have successfully tanked all year, and I love just sitting on the intro animation, putting in stock video of tank clips. It's fun for me. So, anyway, before we jump into this post-game show, let me thank BetOnline. Use that promo code BELIEVE for a 50% reward bonus. We had picks against the spread earlier today. 13 games over on our second channel. We picked spreads that were brought to us from BetOnline. Baseball just started. My Mariners are struggling right now. Masters soon. You can get in on that. Any sport you want. Use that promo code BELIEVE with BetOnline where the game starts. And, Eric, where do we start with this? Other than the Blazers are alone in 5th place. They have better odds than they did last year with 5 more wins. It's looking like the Blazers are probably going to lose every game the rest of the year. They might be able to beat the Spurs, but at this point, that might not even matter. Because if Orlando wins one more game, that's 2 more wins than the Blazers. So, Blazers are sitting pretty right now.
Yep, I think that's the main takeaway from today. Pacers were also right there if they didn't win another game as well, and the Blazers won that Spurs game. So them both winning today gives us a little bit of breathing room. And and then the Blazers take care of business tonight as well. So 10.5%, it's still not great, but you'll take that, right? If you would have said, what, we weren't going to make the playoffs this year after that 10-4 start, there's no way you'd think we'd be this high in the race, right? Like it would be like, oh, we lost in the play-in or we just missed the play-in, right? And had like the 12th worst odds or something to get Wemby. So I think that's the main takeaway is that 10.5% number. And the game, they played hard, but it was a pretty boring game.
Absolutely, yeah. It's kind of sad that there's only 5 games left because it's like at this point I'm ready to not watch. I cannot focus really on a game that this team plays right now. It's going to take it being the last game of the season for me to truly lock in mentally on this freaking team because at this point, the basketball is just brutal. But, Skylar Mays came in and did some things on a 10-day contract. 5 for 8, 14 points, so good for him. Maybe making a case for a two-way spot next year, or maybe, I don't know, who knows. Cronin probably loved what he saw enough to make him the backup point guard next year. But as far as takeaways from this game, the rookies look good. Jabari was 5 for 12, 4 for 6 from 3, which is huge because we talked about it. He was a three-point shooter in college. Hadn't seen that translate to the NBA yet until tonight.
That unfortunately does mean 1 of 6 from 3, though, or from inside the arc, right?
Yeah, he's not athletic at all. I thought he was more athletic coming out of college, and in the NBA, he just looks like such a subpar athlete. That play where he just it looked like he tried to dunk off somebody, but he got 2 inches off the ground and fell, and the Kings players just kind of looked at him. It was kind of sad. But if he can knock down threes, he needs to be a 3-point shooter. He's not going to sky above anyone at this point. Other than that, Nasir Little got hurt. Can't seem to avoid injuries, but it probably wasn't anything serious. It didn't look like something super serious, but of course, knock on wood, especially with him. Hopefully it was just precautionary because he was 2 for 2 from 3, 2 for 4 from the field in his 12 minutes. And Shaedon Sharpe, 27 points, 5 assists, 6 turnovers. Had a couple impressive passing moments. Turnovers got to cut him down. But he was 4 for 10 from 3, 6 for 10 inside the arc. Like another solid game from him in 37 minutes. And that was pretty much the game. You got Eubanks 18 and 10 with a couple steals, a block. Thibault was 2 for 3 from 3, 8 points. Watford 3 for 9 from the field, 8 points. Kevin Knox, 3 for 10 off the bench, 9 points, 5 assists for him. That was basically all your meaningful stat lines from this game. Where do you want to start off with this game?
Yeah, let's talk about Sharp. I thought overall it was a pretty good game, but just so sloppy with the ball and some of those drives. Committed a lot of turnovers, a lot of bad passes. I think the hype is him of like being the point guard of the future. That's going to have to wait at least a little while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still nice to see him after that New Orleans game come back, even though he didn't necessarily shoot great. I mean, he shot fine, but like he definitely learned some things from that game. In the last 2 games, I felt like he did some good things out there and made a lot of rookie mistakes too, but that was fine.
Yep. Eric Wallace, the final was 138-114. I just didn't feel like making a new graphic when I had this one from last game, and it could still apply to this game. Could have done a lot more for the Kings and a little less for the Blazers, or a little more. I don't know, a little more. But yeah, I don't care at this point in this season. We're tanking. Sharp obviously got to get stronger with the ball. I like that he's able to turn the corner more so than he did at the start of the season. He had a nice drive by Keegan Murray. It's just nice seeing him get downhill and then being able to finish around the rim and then make a dump-off pass.
Keegan actually grabbed him on the shoulder from behind on that one too, and he still powered up and finished, so that was nice.
Yeah. So we're seeing good flashes, seeing passing, turnovers. That was a worry of him coming into the league, and that's been something he's struggled with in his rookie year. A lot of it is just ball handling, and I don't know, like a lot of times he'll pick up the ball and just kind of fumble it. He just has to get a better feel for the ball. Shout out Dro with the $5 Drono. Says, "You two are awesome. Even though the season is cooked, it's fun to tune in. Tori, don't duck a May hoop session. Eric, you the man. Rip City needs PK, a.k.a. Phil Knight." Well, Dro, I would never duck I can't talk. I would never duck a hoop session with you because I have to prove a point. And this offseason, I do have, I'm doing daily uploads, and I have them all scheduled. And on the schedule is highlights from a Blazers Uprise pickup run, okay? May 31st. We got to get a run before then. And I'll hire someone to record or something on a decent camera. I don't know, but that needs to be a video. So, not ducking anything. Don't have to worry about it. Thank you for the Drono. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. And then shout out to Ishfluent too. It's his birthday, so
happy birthday to Ish. Give me a happy birthday in chat for Ish. Although maybe he's joking, maybe he's on the East Coast, and at this point it is now April 1st on the East Coast, which would make it April Fool's Day. So luckily for you guys, we don't have a stream tomorrow because I would have to pull out an April Fool's Day joke. That would probably be cringy, like Trevin the Robot last time. Which if you know, you know. If you don't worry about it. But yeah, Sharp, we've talked about weaknesses, talk about strength. I mean, we've talked about what he needs to work on. This game is what I'm expecting from him the rest of the year. Being a little bit sloppy, showing some flashes of passing, turning the corner, and then knocking down some threes. Was there really anything that like specifically stood out to you this game compared to the last few, or was this just kind of more of the same?
Just same part of his progression. I do say it does. I mean, the dude can get a shot off effortlessly, and yeah, it's like I think that's going to translate to the future. So I'm excited about it, and he's really the only thing worth watching right now too.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone that wants to know our whole feelings on, because we get this question a lot, him, if he needs to start, I'm looking at him as the sixth man offensively next year, and a guy that could maybe play 28 to minutes off the bench. I don't think you need to rush him into a starting role. I don't know if he'll be ready to handle a starting role next season. I don't think playing well for a tanking team means that you're ready to handle a starting role. Last year for a tanking team, when Trent Watford started in like 10 games, he averaged 16 points, 8 boards, 5 assists or something like that. So never read too much into like, oh, this player looks good on this tanking team. That means he's ready to do this next season, because even Josh Hart in his 11 games in a Portland uniform last year averaged 20 points per game. He was not a scorer this year. And in a Blazer uniform, at least, he was at times scared to shoot threes. So I'm not going to overreact too much to this. I mean, it's promising signs out of Sharp. It's about the most I could expect out of him in this situation. But also at the same time, it doesn't mean that he has to start next year, or we have to trade Ant, or we have to do this, or we have to do that. Now, if a good trade for Ant comes along for a starting small forward, then maybe you can slide Shaden Sharp in as the starting shooting guard and hope he can rise to that occasion. But we don't gotta do anything. It's nothing like it's not a situation people use, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to start Sharp, we have to trade Ant, we have to, it's nothing where we have to do anything specifically.
Yeah. So I'd say, well, like just looking at it from before the season, if you would have told me he would have averaged 21 and a half minutes per game and had, scoring games of like 30, 29, 27, 24, 24, like that, I would have been like, no, that's crazy, right? That's his first year. So like, that's definitely something that's encouraging. And the funny part about it is he probably should have played more than 21 and a half minutes per game. I mean, that's obviously going to go up a little bit these next few games. But we kind of, or at least I targeted that 15, 16 minutes per game that Kobe played his first year as like the target to just like force him minutes. So I think that's really cool that he was able to get a significant amount more than that, even though we wish it was a little more with some of the non-starting issues, a few weeks ago. But outside of that, yeah, it's nice to see that he actually got a chance to develop. And now we can talk about him like being an actual rotation player next year instead of still wondering what we have in him.
Yeah, I use the term like surefire rotation player. He's one of those now. Dame, of course, Ant, Nurk, Grant. That's really the only 5 guys on this roster, though, that are sure rotation players going into next year. That's at least 4 other spots you need to fill. I still view Matisse Thybulle as a fringe rotation guy. Everyone else on this roster is at best a fringe rotation guy. Trent Watford I view as a fringe rotation guy. So only 5 surefire, rotation guys. You need to fill 4 more spots somehow. Luckily, you are going to have a high lottery pick. You're going to have a later first that maybe you can get somebody that's ready to give some minutes year one, maybe a Derek Lively if he falls, but I don't think he's going to fall that far. I think he's going to go in the teens somewhere. But that's at least 1 pick. You have other picks you can trade. MLE. There are some ways to kind of round out this roster. Sharp makes it easier because we still do have a lot of rotation spots to fill, and at least it's looking like he can definitely fill one of them going into next year. Shout out to Ol Jakob with the 20 Norwegian Krone Dono says, what rhymes with spank? Chauncey piloting that tank. You're spitting, Jakob. Thank you for the 20 Norwegian Krone Dono. I want more rhymes next time in your next Dono message, and we can have Eric rap it for us, okay? Shout out to Oscar for a $2 Dono. Says, B-Day brothers, Eric and I, it's called Goat Day now.
Yeah, Oscar said he watched a previous stream and thinks we had the same birthday, so that's awesome. Also, Jerome Kersey's birthday, so R.I.P.
Yeah, happy goat day when it's your birthday, I guess. Thank you, Oscar, for the $2 dono. All I know is Sharp's gonna be the goat, and we share a birthday, so I think that's goat day. But we can argue about it some other time. Shout out to Braden Tennis. Which one is it, Braden? Let me know. Tennis or Thenis? Braden has the $5 dono, says, what do you think Sharp's career high will be by the end of the season? Can he beat 30? Love you guys and appreciate the good shows, even with a bad year. Thank you to Braden. Help me make sure I say your name right, because I don't want to mispronounce it. But season or career high by the end of the season. Eric, do you think he'll beat 30 by the end of the season?
It's pronounced like the game tennis.
I see it. Yeah, tennis. Cool.
Yeah, I think he'll beat 30. He's not even trying very hard. I think he could easily do that. Yeah, I think he beats 30 one time.
Yeah, 32.
Yeah. Trevin was said in GC earlier that the rookie high this year is Paulo has 33, so it'd be nice if he got 34 in the game and had the high mark for a rookie this year.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Then we're all caught up on donos. Anything else from this game?
Dro is asking, how deep do you think a rotation should be?
Regular season 9, playoffs 7 to 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regular season can be 10. I mean, it just depends. Like, if you have 3 insanely good players and then like 7, 8 solid role players that are all kind of equal, then it makes sense to have a 10 or 11 man rotation. So 9 to 10, maybe 11 in extreme cases in the regular season. Playoffs 7 or 8 usually is what is best, because you're going to play your starters a few more minutes because the games mean even more, and it's not like you're playing back-to-backs in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on, like, if, for example, if we traded Ant, like, we then need a point guard off the bench. So maybe it's 10, right? Because you're not playing Ant at point guard off the bench. But if you are doing that, like if you have a combo guard that can play both the 2 guard with Dame and off the bench as the point guard, then you can go with 9. I think is pretty comfortable.
Yep, I agree.
But you do need a backup big. Like, see, 2 bigs are important because you don't want your center in most cases playing 30 minutes plus a game. So you want, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like an equal center, but like, especially with Nurkic and his injury problems, like you need a big that can limit his minutes down to like 27, 28 a game, to where he can use more effort in those minutes and stuff like that. So I think it's more important that you have the right pieces. And we have a bunch of wing depth or guard depth this year, but don't have the right, like a backup point guard if Dame or Ant isn't playing, and we don't have a backup center really. So that's the main problem, I'd say.
Yep. I'm trying to figure out where this drama started in chat. I don't understand, but oh well.
Yeah, so I'll just say something on that. Like, just quit saying in chat, you guys ban people for your own opinion. I don't care what you said previous. If you have that mindset and you say that in chat, like, I'm going to react negatively towards you and be very close to banning you. So like, just talk ball and quit talking about banning people and bringing it up out of the blue when no one's been banned. Like, let's just freaking talk about basketball, guys. And I guarantee you've been someone that's been banned before and they're coming back because no one's ever heard of Jordan Rowland before this stream.
Yeah. I brought it up because I do want to touch upon this one final time on a post-game stream, because we talked about it earlier on our second channel, but that's our second channel, that's smaller. I'm not talking about trading Dame because it's super unrealistic. It's much more realistic we get Wemby. Like, I'm not going to talk about trading Dame. It's pointless. I don't want to talk about it. You can come in here and scream to no one, scream to a brick wall that you want to trade Dame, and it's just going to be pointless. It's because it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like, I'm not going to repeat this same cycle 6-7 years in a row. And if you heard Dame's comments on Casey Holdall's latest podcast, The Briefcase, episode 33, you would feel pretty confident in Lillard coming back unless you had your own bias that was blinding you. So at this point, I'm done spending 20 minutes a stream, 30 minutes a stream, arguing with people about Damian Lillard and his situation. It's completely pointless. So I'm moving on.
If he asks out or something happens or to change that, we'll for sure talk about it. We'll have if he requests a trade, we'll have an emergency stream and talk about it. Until then, like, if you think you know what Dame's going to do, that's exactly his point, that you're dumb and you don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah. And if you don't know what Eric is referencing there, go listen to that podcast, because Dame went off for a segment there. It was pretty entertaining. Kind of sounded like me on a post-game show telling people they don't speak for him.
You know what part I loved? We did talk about this earlier. When Casey asked him something about, like, what he thinks about, like, the national media who says that. And he's like, well, that's my point. Like, I don't care what they think. I don't want to speak for them. They shouldn't speak for me. I'm not going to speak for them, type of thing, you know?
Yep. So, anyway, last I'm touching upon it. For the rest of the season. Anyway, what? Okay. Sorry, I just wrote something and misinterpreted it. Jesse with the $5 dono says, why not clear the air? Sharp going for 40 or just short is my prediction, 36-40 by the end of the season, I assume. Who is the player you fear the Blazers end up drafting? Who's the player I fear they draft at this point? Brandon Miller could be really good, but if you're talking about top 5 prospects, just like, I'm wary because of the situation that played out with him earlier this season. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just a Google search and you can figure it out. That plus, I'm not completely sold on his game. That's the guy I would fear, but I wouldn't, like, hey, if we took him at 3, I wouldn't have a problem with it at the same time. You know what I mean? I think him and the Thompson twins, like, you could make a case for any of them being number 3. Some people make a case for him being number 2. I think Scoot's clearly number 2. So that's the thing, is I'm not going to trip if they draft him. The thing is, anybody below those 5, I think, is a crapshoot, so it's not like I even fear them drafting anyone at 6 or 7 if those 5 are off the board, because it's really hard to tell who's going to be that guy. It's not like you have Jamal Murray at 7 available back in his draft, where it's like you knew he was going to be a good scorer in the NBA, like you just had all the right traits. Like, every prospect at that point is either like a high floor, low ceiling role guy, or like lower ceiling than you'd expect in that range, in my opinion, or they have serious question marks, and it's just kind of a weird draft in that range. So, honestly, I don't really fear them drafting anyone, Eric. Do you fear the Blazers drafting anyone? I think I might know the answer to this.
Actually, like, most of the consensus top 7 guys or so, I'm pretty much all fine with. And I think you know the answer. That's Anthony Black I don't like, so I would fear him because I think he's ultimately going to need the ball in his hands to be effective. And obviously on this team, he would be at least 3rd in terms of ball in the hands type player. So, I don't think just because he's tall, it means that he's like the answer to anything. But I mean, I don't think we would draft him, so not really worried about it or anything. And then obviously, unless we traded Ant before the draft, taking like a Nick Smith Jr. or Keontae George doesn't make a lot of sense either. Yeah. See, I don't fear an Anthony Black because I don't think his shooting is that far off. He shot 30% this year. Not good, but did shoot an okay 70%. If you care about Tankathon 3-point, NBA 3-point projections, he's a projected 33%er, which is definitely below average, but I like a lot of the different things that he can do, so I wouldn't fear that. I'd understand the fit question marks and the problems, but that dude can play some defense, so
Kind of tough to completely shy away from that.
I'd fear you want an inch taller Thibault.
He looks like, I don't know. He looks like Kyrie handling the ball compared to Thibault. He's not.
I don't think he's that good. Like, he's not.
He can handle the ball. He can pass the ball. He's a little bigger. He's not the stiff that Matisse Thibault is.
I was joking, obviously, but
yeah. I just so chat doesn't get confused. You know who I would fear, actually, Eric? You know who I would fear if the Blazers fell to 7? Grady Dick. That's the guy I'd fear. The Blazers drafting.
I'd rather have Grady than Anthony Black.
I'd rather have the better defender.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, though. In terms of shooting.
Yeah.
Both the Thompson twins have, Asor doesn't really have as bad of shooting numbers, obviously, but both of them very, very poor free throw shooters. Does that worry you at all? Are you muted?
Yeah, I was muted. Sorry, I saw some. Okay. Let me just say this: if we're believing Matt Barnes when it comes to Damian Lillard, we're completely off the wall. Okay, that's so ridiculous. If we're listening to Matt freaking Barnes in regards to Damian Lillard and Matt Barnes saying he has a source, come on now. Okay,
Dame
sorry.
Literally just came on a podcast yesterday and said he was talking about the future and being here. So and not to let other people talk to him. That's exactly Dame's point.
Matt Barnes, bro. Matt Barnes. Matt freaking Barnes. Okay, sorry. So I saw that comment and it kind of derailed me. What was your question?
I think you've been pretty vocal about the Thompson twins, believing in their shooting. But historically, free throw percentage is a good way to look at things, and they both shoot in the 60 percentiles for free throws, which is not good for a guard. So does that bother you at all or worry you? Or
I mean, there is a chance that they're never good shooters, but I think they're good enough in other areas to be really good prospects still. Yeah. Like defensive potential, court vision at that size, athleticism, finishing ability, or at least just the ability to finish over people, finish under people, around people, finish creatively. I really like both of their games in almost every area other than the three-point shot. So I listened to Amen Thompson. I always emphasize the wrong syllable. I listened to his interview, though, and he just comes across like a guy who works hard. And you did see him tweak his form a little bit mid-season at OTE, which, isn't a big deal because it's OTE. It's not like he's doing it in the middle of a college season that is a big deal, really matters on the national scene. But he did tweak a couple things. I truly think he's dedicated to trying to improve his shot. And there's certain players where it's they're so good in so many different areas that I'm willing to overlook their lack of a shot with the hopes that they can figure it out. Yeah. Right? I don't think he's going to be Ben Simmons because he still shoots confidently, which you could say is maybe a bad thing, but mentally you have to have confidence. The thing is with Ben Simmons is he won't even shoot with confidence. And that translates to the free throw line and whatnot.
Ben Simmons stuff.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm just saying, I don't think he's going to be a Ben Simmons type of problem shooting the ball. It's just, can he hit enough to make guys come out on him in the league? That's the question mark. But I feel like it's much easier to. I feel like it'd be much easier to teach the twins how to shoot threes than it would be to teach Grady Dick to be as athletic as them, handle a ball like them, and pass like them, and this and that. So
I just worry because free throw shooting is usually a good indication on whether you can figure out your shot. Priest brings up that Andrew Wiggins was never a good free throw shooter, but he shot. I just looked up. He shot 77% from free throw in college, so that's not bad. That's decent. And especially for a forward. So I don't get what
Yeah,
Andrew Wiggins has to do with anything.
I mean, Amen was Amen was 65%, and Asar was 67% from the free throw line. So yeah, that's not good, but like Cam Whitmore was 70%, which
But
isn't much better.
he's a wing though. Those guys are going to be more on the ball in the NBA.
You don't think those guys will be able to play the three because they're 6'7"?
I mean, I don't. I'll be interested to see their measurements, but ultimately, I don't think that's their best position in the NBA. I think they probably could play a little bit, but they're not the biggest of stature guys either.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing when you're drafting or I guess they're barely 20 on draft day, but when you're drafting a guy that young, you hope that he can just put on muscle. It doesn't seem like they have frames that are destined to be skinny. Like, it seems like they can put on muscle. And that's the thing, is if those guys put on muscle, then there's no reason why they can't play the three. So I feel like both of them can play the three.
So Reese says Amen will command the attention of said defense every second the ball is in his hands due to his overwhelming when pressure. Saginaw won't work well with him. I agree, but I mean there are better rim protectors in the NBA. And I'm not saying I obviously have them. I have both of them 4 and 5 on my draft board, so it's not like I'm saying they can't figure it out or aren't good prospects. But if you're talking about having a player who can't shoot very well but has the ability to get to the rim and apply that rim pressure, if they're not a good free throw shooter, that kind of overrides it a little bit to me, because the whole point of a lot of the good rim pressures, like look at SGA in Oklahoma City right now, he gets to the foul line a lot with that rim pressure. So like he's constantly driving and getting to the line. If you're only shooting 65% or whatever from the free throw line as that player, and defenses are sagging off of you, daring you to shoot, like that's I don't know, that is something that he'll have to get better at for sure.
Yeah, I just think you should assume that there will be some improvement there.
Mm-hmm.
Because when guys have, like, most of the time when guys have shooting as a glaring weakness entering the league, but they have a lot of other things, they are able to improve somewhat. And it's not like they have to be 36, 37% three-point shooters. Just, like 33, 32%.
Yeah.
Might be enough. But then also it's like if you give him too much space, he's going to drive you. It's not like... 67% isn't it's not good, but it's not completely horrible.
For a guard it is.
For
like the main ball handler on a team, that's bad.
But how many points per possession is it on 2 shots? It's still an efficient play for him to get to the line. It's still 1.34 points per possession on 2 free throws.
Yeah.
So it's still a good play if he drives and gets 10 free throws a game. It's still efficient offense. So, and that's if they don't improve. Now, it is a small sample size. Their free throw shooting at OTE, maybe it goes down. If it's 55%, all of a sudden them getting to the free throw line isn't an efficient play. But in the grand scheme of things, you just want it to be an efficient play, in terms of just getting enough points per possession, because that's obviously what efficiency is. So, yeah, I understand the question marks. I just can't I can't turn away from all the traits they have that you pretty much can't teach.
Mm-hmm. Well, like Reese says, they're in the 100th percentile athleticism. Absolutely agree. I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if they never really become good shooters and have to, basically use all that athleticism. But also, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of some of the most athletic players I've ever seen, and say, and they don't ever improve enough to use that athleticism enough in the NBA. So that would be my concern with the Thompson twins, especially in a situation if they were drafted to Portland where, they're going to be off ball a lot more than they are on ball. So I'm not saying I wouldn't draft either one, but I just don't know if like this situation is the perfect situation for them to thrive and learn how to play that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think either could absolutely excel as a cutter and a floor runner without the ball in their hands. Obviously, it's the 3-point shot, so if Nurkic's 3-point shooting this season was real, then maybe you could get away with it. Kind of like like we use Justice Winslow, and I talked about his lack of shooting. But the thing is I didn't think he did enough elsewhere to make up for that. Right, I was on the record with that. I think the Thompson twins could. And I envision one of them grabbing a rebound, pushing the pace with Shaden Sharp in the wings, like transition offense on our bench unit next year. Because I probably wouldn't start either one of them right away. You'd probably try and find a starting 3 until Sharp or whichever Thompson twin we drafted was ready to start at the 3. But like those, like Sharp and one of the Thompson twins off the bench at the wings is already just an absolute problem
Right.
in many, many ways for teams. So it's like having that super high upside and bench production and athleticism that would be completely unmatched for 2 guys off a bench would be nice to have next year.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, in the right situation, I think, especially his creation skills, I think, are gonna immediately translate. So if he's got a situation where he's got good shooters around him, and if the Blazers, if it happens to be on the Blazers, I think that's what they'll have to do is basically use him as that creator and play Damon, Ant, and Sharp, and whoever's still on the team, Jeremy, off ball more. But yeah, it'd be interesting if they would even consider doing that, or if they just trade the pick or what. If we got like 3 or 4 or 5.
Yep. All right, so let me take the last 2 donos. Horror Director, $10 dono just says ball. Thank you.
I think he's talking to chat. Talk ball, right?
Yeah, ball. He's talking ball with his dono. Thank you, Horror Director.
And maybe he was saying the opposite of the Bulls Hornets game. That was ballless today.
Yeah, ballless. Ballless.
Because Lonzo and LaMelo were both out.
Yep. Unfortunately, they both seem to be injury prone, and it makes you wonder with the, relation, them being brothers, if that has something to do with upbringing or genetics or what. But
I just hope Lonzo's able to play again because I guess no athlete's ever come back and played after the surgery he had. But, there's been advancements in technology, so he's pretty much got the Brandon knee bone on bone, or the Brandon Roy bone on bone in his knee. So hopefully he can recover from that. Probably won't play next year, but hopefully, 2 years from now he can come back.
Yep. And then Jakob with a 100 Norwegian crony dono says, "Take it away, E. Blazers on that tank. Money in the bank." Oh, wait, no, you're supposed to rap this.
I don't have a beat.
I don't beatbox, so you're
Okay.
an acapella. You don't respect the acapella.
No, I don't.
I started rapping it a
skills.
little bit. It wasn't too bad of a start, but yeah, that was supposed to be you.
I can't even see it anymore.
I will literally forward it to you on Discord. Okay.
Okay.
There you go. While you prepare for that, shout out Connor with a $10.50 dono. He says 10.5 for 10.5%. Thank you, Connor. We'll get to Tankathon in a second. And then shout out Oscar, $2 dono, says, if we got Wemby, what would be our next move? W roster. We can talk about that. Let's see if we get Wemby on the Tankathon. And then Eric, what was Jakob's dono?
I'm not going to reveal my true rapper skills quite yet, so I'll rap like I suck at rapping. But yeah, Blazers on the tank, money in the bank, Nas is chucking bricks, Sharp is getting clicks, Wemby in our sights, time to switch the lights.
Good job, Jakob. Very impressed by your ghostwriting and very impressed by Eric's G-Eazy impersonation. I love it. All right. So let's move on to Take a Thought. Good job, Eric. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Eric Nem says Jakob. Eric Lamar. Marky says bro's tough with it.
Okay, but to answer Oscar's question,
well, I figured we could answer it after this.
Yeah, when we get Wemby in the thing.
Yeah, I'm speaking it into existence. I'm expecting this Tankathon sim to lead into his question.
Yep.
Anyway, look, we're all alone. It's so beautiful.
It's pretty.
Look at this. 42% chance at the top 4. Most likely we get like top 6, right?
Or 7th is still like the individual percentage of most.
Yeah. But like it's 2.2% for 5, so that's 44.3% for top 5, and then it's like 19% for 6, so that would be 63-ish, approximately 63% chance of the top 6. Whereas if we were 6th, then it'd be lower than 50% at top 6. So that's the thing is, like, even if we don't move up, yes, we have better odds to move up, but even if we don't move up, it does make our pick higher, because if us and Orlando don't move up, then we're ahead of Orlando. So even if we don't move up, it's still better to be higher in terms of lottery odds, of course. Mm-hmm. But those odds are beautiful. 10.5% chance. Guys, San Antonio, Houston, and Detroit have sucked all season. At least we got to have some fun for a little bit. We have a 3.5% chance less than them. So it's legitimate. For everybody out there, because there's people out there, I see them on Twitter saying, the Blazers, I mean, they're in our stream chat too. They say, the Blazers have no chance at Wemby. It's not going to happen. They don't have a good enough chance. At 10.5%? Okay, so what? Wow, no team has a chance? Like, is 14% that much better? If
we only have a 3.5% less chance than any other team.
Yep, so if 10.5% is no chance at Wemby, then 14% is pretty close to that. So basically, in the end, I guess Wemby can't come to the NBA because nobody has a chance at him. I don't know. I don't understand the logic. 10.5% is almost as good as it gets, ladies and gentlemen. So let's simulate this thing and scroll up from the bottom as we always do. 14, Minnesota's pick is owed to Utah as part of the Rudy Gobert trade. They ended up losing to the Lakers today.
Lakers are up into 7th now.
Lakers and New Orleans are now not in the lottery. So in multiple streams, we've had to worry about the Lakers or the New Orleans pick moving up into the top 4 because New Orleans gets the best of the two. Now neither of them are even in the lottery, which is kind of crazy. At 13, Toronto. At 12, OKC. At 11, Orlando via Chicago. At 10 is Dallas. They keep their pick if it's in the top 10. So otherwise it goes to New York. New York would get screwed in that situation. At 9 is Utah. So far, so good. Utah 9 and 14. At 8, Washington. So far, so good. This is the range where you could start seeing the Blazers. This is the range where you get nervous if you're a Blazer fan. At 7, it's Orlando, so Indiana moved up.
Yep.
Indiana moved up. At 6, it's Charlotte, so Portland also moved up. Get used to it. It's going to happen almost 50% of the time. Should happen 42%. But let's see if we can get a run of luck here to end the season. Because last stream, wasn't it 1? Or was it the stream before?
That was 2 streams ago. Last night, remember we did it twice and we got 7 both times?
Yeah. So 1.
Or once in it. Yeah.
And then 7. So let's see if we can get another 1 on the board. At 5 is San Antonio. So you got Detroit, Houston, Portland, and Indiana. At 4 is Detroit, which is a team with 14% odds. So that's good news. That's one of the heavy favorites for the number 1 pick. So Portland, Indiana, or Houston. At 3 is your Portland Trailblazers. At 2 is Houston, and at 1 is Indiana. Indiana gets Wemby with the 7th best odds. So here we get to argue about Brandon Miller versus the Thompson twins,
Yeah.
which I
Uh,
I don't agree with consensus in that
well,
regard, but
well, number one, I'm trading the pick. But yeah, I just think Brandon Miller, um, obviously ignoring off the court uh, situations. I just think he would be the ideal fit at the three on this team, and I think he would be a game changer for us.
um, not really any trade down opportunities here. I think you'd have to be 2 to sell a team on Scoot, maybe San Antonio. I think at 5 they just take one of the Thompson twins or Brandon Miller, whichever one is left. Now, we had a question earlier. If the Blazers get Wemby, what next? Well, you can honestly, if you got Wemby, you could pretty much run it back next season with Grant at the 3 and Wemby at the 4 and just see what you are defensively without making like a panic trade beyond that where like, oh, we got to get something else. Because I honestly think if you have Wemby, he can be such a game changer defensively that team could be potentially a really good playoff team right off the bat, and you just run a defense where you have Dame and Ant go over every screen, overplay everything on the perimeter, and funnel everything towards Jeremy Grant, Victor Wembanyama, and Yusuf Nurkic. Because that's the best rim-protecting duo of forwards in the league with Grant and Wemby at the 3 and 4. So you can get away with, like, trapping screens with Nurk if you have Wemby behind him. Same thing with Wemby trapping screens. He can move his feet. He has length. He can be bothersome in that regard if you have, Grant and Nurk behind that. So defensively, Wemby is a total game changer for this team, in my opinion. And you'd basically just you'd stop guarding guards with Jeremy Grant and getting him stuck up on screens with Dame and Ant having to help out around the rim. You'd flip that and just, if Dame and Ant struggle and don't get through a screen and the guy goes downhill, okay, good luck trying to score on that rim protection trio where the center might be the worst rim protector because the forwards are good in that regard, or in Wemby's case, phenomenal. So I think you could do that. Obviously, you could put the Knicks pick plus future firsts in play for something additional. I just think getting Wemby would allow you to be a little bit more calculated and not have to panic and overpay or something like that.
Yeah, and people asking about if that demotes Nurk or whatever. No, first year or two, I think Wemby's going to be better at power forward just to kind of let him grow into being a big in the NBA. Maybe in years two, 3, we can talk about him being, the center of the future. But I don't think there's any reason why, with his skill set, you have to pigeonhole him into a certain position. And I think it's pretty fluid between the 3, 4, and 5 there. You can interchange Wemby as the 3 or Grant as the 3. It doesn't matter what position you play him at. I just think it matters how you use them. So I also think that playing him with Nurkic, like Nurk being able to throw those little lob passes he struggled with to the guards this season, when you're throwing those to like a 7'5" guy with a 9-foot wingspan, there's just a little easier to throw those, and Nurk could catch the ball at the top and literally just throw the ball over the top to Wemby. They did that a little bit with Grant towards the middle of the season and kind of went away with it. But I just think it opens up a lot of stuff. But I would definitely look to maybe, I don't know, somehow get someone like a Dorian Finney-Smith in that case, just to have like a normal size 3 to be the backup to Grant and Wemby at the 3-4. I don't know if like the Knicks pick and like Nas and Keon and whatever it takes to fill salary in that trade is enough. But I would definitely look at someone like that just to provide some depth. And then also you'd still have the MLE. So you'd try to sign, like last year, Bruce Brown was signed for the MLE. So someone like that I think would be a good addition.
Yeah, you'd need to round out the rest of the rotation, but you'd have 6 rotation players there. Hopefully you could find one with the Knicks pick. That would make 7, and then, figure out the other 2. Probably wouldn't want to go into next season with Nasir Little in the rotation. I do think that Watford would be a good fit next to Wemby. I also think Nurk would be a good fit next to Wemby. For different reasons. Watford, his weaknesses can kind of be masked by Wemby and his passing ability. Lack of shooting ability. Meanwhile, you got Wemby who can shoot. Just kind of a good compliment. But I think Nurkic with his... Nurkic is a good positional defender, and having an elite, super lengthy shot blocker, it would be a situation where like Nurkic could probably buy Wemby time to come block shots, because Nurkic isn't like an insane shot blocker. We know that. But just as long as he's not he's able to provide some resistance, slow down guys driving the lane. Wemby can cover so much ground so quickly with his crazy length that might just be enough to buy Wemby time to come block a shot, and I just think those two would complement each other on the defensive end. And then if you have Nurkic playing in the short role and you have Wemby in the dunker spot, I mean, how do you guard that if you trap Dame? Yeah. As long as you got 2 other shooters out there, which you would with Ant and Jeremy Grant. So right. How do you guard that? How do you trap Dame? It would literally be something where we'd invite the trap, just try and hit Nurk on the short roll.
Yeah.
Or the thing is, you could always invert it and, have Wemby on the short roll, and you can't give that dude space.
Nope.
So you'd have to foul him. Like, the team next year, if you got Wemby, would be much better. I think it would be a playoff team. But obviously, if you could swing something else too, like in that situation, I would be open to like an Ant for a Mikal Bridges trade if possible. Ant and a couple of first. I don't know. It'd probably take a little bit more, but like if you could have Mikal, Grant, Wemby, and Nurk next to Dame, offensively, defensively, that could be a contender.
Mikal, man, is that dude. I don't think they're going to trade him.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, another 42 tonight on super high efficiency. That dude's killing it.
Yeah, he's been really good. I don't know what he is on like a true contender right now, because
you saw it already.
Huh?
You saw it already, right?
Yeah, but like he's taken a jump since then.
Yeah.
But it's just like, okay, well, how much of a jump does he take on a true contender? Because he's averaging 19 a game this year, but like Chris Paul missed some time, Devin Booker missed some time, like he kind of had to, and the Suns for a good part of this year were only playing like a 500 team, so I don't know if Mikal's a 25 point per game scorer on a contending team. It's a little different. Obviously, we talked about Grant playing in Detroit was different than Grant playing on the Denver team that made the Western Conference Finals, and then Grant came here and still scored the ball, and we started hot, so it's like, oh, he can do this for a winning team. Well, guess what? We're not a winning team. And he was shooting 48% from 3 to start the year in the first, 15 games. So
the difference, Hogwatch, is that the Blazers are purposely trying to suck. The Padres just suck, even though they're trying. But you know who would be the perfect backup?
Who?
If we had Wemby and Nurk?
Who?
Collins.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God, give me Zach Collins, man.
Dude, Zach, Nurk, and Wemby. Dude,
yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about gettable guys. Obviously, if Embiid was our backup center, that'd be different. But
yeah, I mean, we talked about it. We talked about it last stream. We just need clear-cut role players, and everybody's like, Stotts' roster wasn't better, and he made him make the playoffs and get to the conference finals and this and that. And my question for those people is always like, what did he do? And then they always make stuff up like he had the team get really good shots, even though the shot quality was not good whatsoever, and it was just Dame and CJ carrying it. The cutting. Somebody brought up that Stotts teams had really good cutting, and it's like, what did you watch? You didn't notice Derrick Jones Jr. parked in the corner the entire season? The teams didn't cut. They were last in the league in assists, last in the league in pass per possession, last in the league in terms of taking the most dribbles per touch. The team didn't move the ball. The team didn't cut. The team didn't generate great shots. You just had Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum basically carrying everything on offense. But Dame has shown, even this year, at least when he has a healthy group of just starters around him, that he can make an offense a elite offense. The problem is we can't play defense. The last time this Blazer team could play defense was when they had Al-Farouq Aminu and Maurice Harkless. Those two guys were better and more versatile defenders than the Blazers have had since then, because they could defend on the ball, they could protect the rim, they could switch, guard 4 positions, and those guys were hated. And people just look at those guys like, those guys aren't talented, those guys are so mid, and look what happened to them after they fell out of the league. Well, it's like, players come and go in the NBA, okay? Like, Jeremy Grant, back when those guys were playing for Portland, was a completely different player. Sharp was in middle school, like freshman year of high school or something. So that's the thing. Guys come and go. That's not a good point. But then also, back when those guys played, they fit such a perfect defensive archetype for your 3 and 4 that they kind of carried our defense. They were good enough that even with Enes Kanter, our defense was good enough, because we know it wasn't Stotts scheming. I mean, he ran drop scheme on Steph Curry in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. So the thing is, with those teams, with those rosters, is you had 2 defenders that were versatile, could defend on and off the ball, could switch, and they were really, really good for our defense. Really carried our defense. Dame showed he could carry an offense. We need those types of defenders that can carry our defense. Because if you have that, you can maybe contend.
That's why I would look at getting like a maybe, because he hasn't been great since going to the Nets, like the Dorian Finney-Smith, because he's like that Mo Harkless type archetype, so
yeah, and you can maybe buy low on him because he struggled.
So I would definitely look at that. But I also, in the draft, obviously Lively would be a good backup for Wemby and Nurk too, and then that would also allow you eventually to maybe move on from Nurk once Lively and Wemby were ready to dominate the league. But a guy who I still am puzzled why I see him so low on draft boards, but Leonard Miller, I think, would be that, at worst, like that Al-Farouq Aminu type defender, where he's like constantly in the right position, has length. I think he would be a really good fit with those guys as well. Yep. And he's a good rebounder, so that helps.
Leonard Miller's intriguing too. What was he shooting from 3 this year? I'm curious. Let me find it. 30%. 79% from the free throw line, though.
Yeah.
His form is I don't know if his form works from NBA three-point distance.
Yeah. Well, inside the arc, he was good. And he also can like get the ball and go on rebounds and stuff. Like, Aminu couldn't do that, really.
Oh, yeah. He's intriguing. I like Leonard Miller with that Knicks pick.
You also, Chris Murray is, you can see how having Keegan Murray on the Kings opens up their offense a little bit. So you can kind of see that being a plug and play type of person on the Blazers as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you confident that Chris Murray is going to come in and shoot better than he did in college?
Yeah, I think that team was just horrible, other than him, and I just think that in the NBA, when defenses can't key on him as much, I do think that it'll just be a little bit more open for him, but. I like his shot a little better, even though he struggled towards the second half of the season to prove it.
He was a below 70% free throw shooter in his college career. He was 73% his last year, but the year before was 64.5%, was 33.5% from 3 this year. I'm not sure Chris Murray can be a good enough shooter. Like, if Keegan Murray wasn't a good shooter, would he really be impactful at all?
I think outside of getting blown by Sharp tonight, I think he's been at least a neutral defender this year.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, Chris Murray at 23, I wouldn't necessarily hate it. I would much rather go for a guy who could be more, because I feel like Chris Murray's just going to be a more limited version of what Keegan is now, and that's just kind of to me.
I think he has some skill set to do a few things better than him, and a few things a little worse. But I just see, Keegan set the record for rookie 3-pointers in a season, and I think that's, if you get that with like the 23rd pick, like anywhere near that, I think that's a good pick.
Yeah. Keegan, for reference, for anyone who cares, shot 40% from three his last year in college. So Chris Murray is 33.5. There is a difference there.
He took a lot of bad shots too, trying to be his brother.
Yeah. I just think like Keegan Murray was like a safe, for sure going to be a good role player. Chris, I'm nowhere near as confident in that, but I was lower on Keegan Murray than consensus too. So, I think it depends on what you get with the first pick. If you get Wemby, I'm more okay taking Chris Murray with that Knicks pick. If you end up like 6th, then you take Jarris Walker.
Or trade it, yeah.
I mean, if you trade it, I think that completely changes the conversation. But if you use both picks, I think one of the picks you got to swing for as much upside as possible. Mm-hmm. So if you get Wemby or, Eamon Thompson, then I'm more okay taking a safer guy in like a Chris Murray, like a higher floor, lower ceiling guy, whatever. Okay? If you end up with Jarris Walker out of the lottery, then with that Knicks pick, I want to swing, even if it's a guy who might never be anything. So like Leonard Miller is one of those guys to me. Derek Lively is one of those guys to me.
G.G. Jackson.
G.G. Jackson's one of those guys. I just don't like his attitude, but he's super young. Ugh.
If Whitehead fell to 23 and we had Wemby, that would be, if we ended up with this draft with Derek and Wemby, that'd be crazy in terms of upside.
Yeah, Derek was a highly regarded college prospect or a high school prospect and has been a little banged up this year. Shot the 3-ball well at Duke, but didn't show much else, at least compared to what was expected of him coming into college as a highly regarded prospect. So if he falls, that could be interesting. Tankathon has him 27th right now.
Dro says, did we forget we have Jabari Walker? Eric Brandt, talk about him. I know you didn't forget. I mean, he's a good role player, good pick for the second to last pick in the draft, but I don't think he's like next year a rotation player on a good team.
No. I mean, the thing is he just hasn't shot threes this year until tonight, and that was coming into the league, he was looked at as a guy that would shoot threes and knock down threes. He was, what was he? I can look it up. I'm curious what he shot his final year in college. His final year in college, 34.6%, but his freshman season, in 14 minutes a game, shooting 1.7 threes a game, he shot 52% from three. So his freshman season from three is 23 for 44. That's a pretty small sample size now I look at it. And then his sophomore season on a bigger sample size, 36 for 104, 34.6%. So I think maybe we were a little bit too high on his three-point shooting based on what he showed in college. But he was 4 for 6 for tonight, so it could just be he needs the confidence to shoot it at the NBA level. Like, I don't really know what to make of him long term in terms of trying to project him as a shooter. But the thing is, he's going to have to be able to be a good three-point shooter because he's not somebody that's going to do a ton of damage off the bounce. It's just like, what is his offensive role if he's not a good three-point shooter? Sure, he might be a cutter, like connector, whatever, glue guy, just doesn't make mistakes, etc. But I don't think that's enough. I think he has to shoot threes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah, if you can come with a solid, like high 30% 3-point shooter with, just solid defense, because his defensive IQ is good. I don't think he's ever going to be a super athletic defender or anything like that, or like a lockdown defender. But like he makes good reads and is in the right position and moves his feet well, moves his hips well. But yeah, so yeah. No, Dro, he's not anywhere close to being ready for that starter minutes.
Yep, not close. Shout out to Horror Director, $10 dono says, come on, guys, throw some love. They're doing 2-hour shows with the tank going on. That deserves a little love. Thank you, Horror Director, for the love. Thank you for the $10 dono. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man. Kapowify says, could we trade 23 and Nas or something to go up in the draft, like a 15th pick or something? None of our guys, like Nas now, Keon, Knox, those are the only like tradable guys we have, right? Am I missing someone? Maybe Trendon or Jabari. Those guys don't have trade value to move up in a draft like that. Like no one's going to take their contract and give you a higher draft pick. Like maybe in the second round or something, but yeah, not. It's hard to move a contract like that and move up in a draft. Like if you're not trying to get someone back in the trade, just trying to move up. So
yeah, think of it this way. There's like tiers of trades in terms of like meaningfulness or like tiers of assets where if you reach a certain tier, like something 2 tiers below that, like is completely irrelevant. It doesn't even matter at that point. Like if you're discussing a Dame trade, a late first doesn't matter at all. If you're discussing a Dame trade, or if you're talking an Embiid trade, like sure, they probably ask you to throw that in, but in terms of making the trade happen, you have to come with much better assets. In terms of like trading up in the first round, a Jabari Walker or a Trendon Watford or a whatever is too low tier of an asset to make a difference at all in terms of that conversation. So that's the thing is if you're talking, you know, a team is just looking for a guy off the bench for a second round pick, then obviously, you know, maybe they trade it for Trendon Watford. But if you're talking about like a big thing or moving up in the first round where you're talking about assets that are automatically going to be better than Trendon Watford, then teams are just going to value being able to use that first round pick to get the player they want instead of maybe risking not getting that player to move down just so they can get Trendon Watford. So a lot of times you have to think of trades in tiers, and once you reach a certain tier, something that's far enough below that just doesn't even matter.
Yep. I agree. So. Question, would you rather have Knox or Reddish next year?
Equal contract?
No, I mean, we're not signing. Reddish isn't signing for $3 million, so yeah, I'd rather have Knox for $3 million. I'd rather have
Knox because he doesn't come with a crazy fan base that swears he's PG. But, like, I don't like Kevin Knox at all.
You know who the broadcast was comparing to PG tonight?
Who?
Brandon Miller.
Brandon Miller is much closer of a comp to PG in terms of play style than Cam Reddish. Because Brandon Miller can handle the ball, shoot threes off the dribble, doesn't play too sped up. I don't know. Will he be able to really get to all the same shots as PG can in the league? You know, that's the question mark with him. But just like the way he moves reminds me much more PG than Cam Reddish. I've never understood that. And Brandon Miller can shoot. Cam Reddish can't shoot. He can't. He's 32% three-point shooter. Guess what? This year in Portland, after I told you guys, 150 games have been a 32% three-point shooter. In Portland, he's playing so great, right? He's a 32% three-point shooter.
Yeah.
If you got 31.8, not even 32, Eric. Justice Winslow, I believe, had a higher three-point percentage in a Blazer uniform this year. So, I'm glad to be past that phase of conversation. Oh, Justice Winslow, 31.1%. But, bro, we're talking... Cam Reddish and Justice Winslow shoot the same percentage, essentially, from 3.
Wow, the Nuggets covered. I just looked at the score.
Yeah,
Suns won, but
are screwed for me. Dang. I don't even want to think about picks. Anyway. You said you wanted to talk about point shaving today or something?
Well, let's talk about LaMarcus first.
Okay, LaMarcus and then point shaving and then a couple more questions.
Yeah, so LaMarcus officially retired today for I think the second time, and he made a joke like the Tom Brady thing. But yeah, I mean, I still hold some ill will towards him claiming he wanted to be the best Blazer ever and then leaving. But I still respect him as a player, and yeah, he had a great career and was a good Blazer, and yeah, wish him the best.
Yep. Would have been cool to see him in a Portland jersey again before retiring, but that's just for sentimental reasons, I guess, and or my want to not see Drew Eubanks as a backup center. But yeah, good career. Yeah, just kind of weird because he retired once and then came back and was still effective and just didn't get signed this offseason. I think he was trying to play right now, and just didn't get the chance, so decided to retire. I think if he had gotten picked up, he would still be in the league and not retired right now. I think he still had an itch for it, but at some point you got to call it a career, Father Time's undefeated, so yeah, shout out to him. Hope he enjoys whatever's next for him.
Yeah, and hopefully he lives out the rest of his life healthy. I know he's had some heart issues in the past, so hopefully those are all behind him and he can live till a late age in life and enjoy life.
Absolutely. So point shaving.
All right, so we got to talk about this. This freaking Detroit Pistons Houston Rockets game. This was insane. The point spread was 6.5. Okay. And Detroit was like, it was basically a back and forth game. Like, no team was going ahead by much. And, Detroit would take a couple point lead and Houston would take a couple point lead and just kind of back and forth. And then all of a sudden, late in the fourth quarter, this freaking game. So Houston goes on a little run and makes it, let's see. Okay, so it's 109-107 with 3.5 minutes left. Okay. And then a few minutes later, it's 3 minutes and 6 seconds left. It's 108-110. Okay. Then Houston scores to make it a 4-point game. They make a one free throw to make it a 5-point game. Detroit cuts it back to 4 with like a minute 18 left. It's kind of back and forth. Then with 59 seconds left, Kevin Porter Jr. hits a 3, okay, to put them up 6. Then Jaden Ivey goes down the court 5 seconds later, scores a pull-up jump shot to cut it back to 4. 37 seconds left. Jalen Green scores for them to put them back up 6. So they get the ball back. Jaden Ivey pulls up from 3 with 29 seconds left, okay? Down 6, 29 seconds left, misses it. Houston gets the rebound. They foul him with 23 seconds left, down 6, okay? Şengün goes to the line, makes 1 of 2 free throws, okay? So at this point, there's 23 seconds left. Or actually, he misses the second one. So they get the rebound, and there's now 21 seconds left. And the Pistons call timeout with 21 seconds left, down 7. Okay, this is where it starts to get fun. All right. Inbound the ball, Şengün immediately fouls Duran. And he goes to the line, makes 1 of 2 to cut it back down to 6. So remember, it's the 6.5 point spread. Yeah. So they were just up 7. Now it's back down to 6. So there's now 21 seconds left. And so he misses the second one. The Rockets get the rebound. The Rockets call timeout. Up 6 with 15 seconds left.
When they weren't going to foul?
I don't know if they were going to foul or not, but they call timeout, right?
Yeah.
And then Pistons end up fouling with 9 seconds left, down 6. 9 seconds, right? Mm-hmm. And then Jalen Green goes to the line, makes 2 free throws to put the lead up to 8. So 9 seconds left, 8. And then Corey Joseph drives the length of the court and makes a layup at the end to cut it back to 6. And the Pistons cover by a half a point.
Yeah.
But there was like 4 timeouts in the last minute in a 6 or 7 point game with 2 tanking teams. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, weird. Are they locked into their odds?
I think
they are. Because Charlotte has 26 wins and they have 19 and 16 respectively.
they're locked into the odds, but it still matters. Like we were talking about with the fifth, like if you don't or if you move down. Because if they won this game, the Pistons, they would have had 17 wins, and the Rockets only had 18, so it could have happened still.
Yeah. I mean, those teams at this point, it's like if we end up outside the top 4, we're screwed. Which, okay, I like being 5th or 4th, but probably 5th, because think about it. If you are the worst team in the league, Eric, at the top of the lottery, if anybody doesn't know, the top 3 or the worst 3 teams all have equal odds of 52.1% chance of the top 4 and a 14% chance at number 1. Okay. And if your number doesn't get drawn, you have a 48% chance, if you're the worst team in the league, you have a 48% chance of falling at least 4 spots.
Mm-hmm.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Plus, if you're like first, all you can do is go down from there, right? Like either stay there or go down. So like, I don't remember if it was the Oden year or not, but I think Boston had the best odds one year, and they ended up with 5th, and they were all pissed off and stuff like that. And yeah, it's crazy. The Knicks, I don't think they were the worst odds, but they had pretty bad odds the Zion year, and they were all counting on Zion to be their franchise changer or whatever. So it's a much, because the year before Oden, we had the best odds and we fell to 4th. And that's such a gut punch. Like when that happens now, Pritchard ended up making a couple of crazy, awesome trades to get both Aldridge and Roy in that draft. So it ended up working out, well, kind of at the time. But yeah, like at the time of the lottery, even though the first pick that year was Andrea Bargnani, it still kind of hurt to not get that first pick. And then the next year we had like the 5th or 6th best odds, and we move up to 1.
Yep. I will say this: if you're the worst team, you can't fall more than 4 spots because you'd be 5th. But still, I mean, you'd take obviously the best possible odds at Wembanyama, but it's kind of nice being 5th, where it's like you have a 42% chance of getting better. You have a I'm trying to do the math here. Yeah, like 64% chance of 6 or better. So that's the thing, is like being 1 or 2, yes, it's better. It's not that much better. It could backfire. It'd be really stressful. It'd be more stressful being 1,
right,
than
especially
5.
in this draft. Like last year, it might not have mattered that much, but it still would have sucked. But
I say that now, but on draft lottery day, I will be stressing out of my freaking mind.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I remember. God, at least we're prepared after last year. At least it's not like last year, where it was our first time in 8-9 years being in a lottery like that.
Yeah, something like that.
First time since the CJ year, so I just remember that.
Outside of trading up in 2017, yeah.
Well, yeah, but we didn't have the draft lottery experience. Right. We were in the draft lottery. So I remember being so freaking nervous, and God, it's gonna be stressful, man. It's gonna be stressful that we gotta go through this again. Hopefully, we can have a different result. Like, just as long as we get the hype of being top 4, okay? Can the lottery gods just please, man? We're 5th best odds. That's all I want. We've ran this channel since the summer of 2019. We've had nothing good. At some point, can we just have something? Just give us some Wemby.
Summer League Championship isn't good. What the heck?
No summer. We already got one of those. That doesn't count as anything, man. No Summer League Championship. Remember when people were making T-shirts for the Summer League Championship? That was kind of silly, but just give us some Wemby. Just give us something good. Just this once, okay? This is all. I'm not even gonna ask for anything else. I'm not even gonna ask for success in the next 5 seasons. Just give us Wemby, okay? And let him be healthy.
Don't. We're not the curse. Jody's the curse.
Yeah, I started doing YouTube before I started this channel. I started covering the Blazers before I started this channel, okay? So that was during their Western Conference Finals run. So it's not a curse. It's not a curse. Don't try and speak the curse into existence. What are you doing? I'm trying to speak positive things into existence. As the guy who's known as Mr. Positive, I'm trying to speak positivity into existence. That's what they call me, right, Mr. Positivity?
Yeah. I've never heard anyone ever call you negative.
No. If they did, it'd be undeserved. Anyway. We'll take a couple more questions, and we're going to cut the stream short today.
Is Trevor in here? What was this question earlier that you said to answer later?
Oh, LaMarcus.
Was it LaMarcus?
Yeah. We talked about him, so. Oh, man. Getting Wemby would be more exciting than getting Odin. I mean, I don't really remember it back then, but I absolutely he's a much better prospect than Odin.
At the time, I mean, it's hard to beat the Roy Odin Aldridge, like we're gonna win 10 championships type feeling, when we won that lottery. But I mean, that quickly dissipated when Odin, had to have microfracture surgery.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, would you? Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Trevor, for coming back to the stream again. Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with signing Aldridge to a 1-day contract so he could retire to a Blazer. One of those ceremonial type contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be similar, but it's tough. It's tough to beat the excitement of Owen draft. Like that draft was so hyped for so long, as the next big draft after the LeBron draft, and already having Roy and Aldridge with great rookie years, and just coming out of the Blazers era, all those factors going into it. Like it just seemed like that team was destined to be really good. Unfortunately, injuries derailed it.
Yep. Would we retire Aldridge's jersey? Nobody's worn it since him, right?
I don't think so, no.
I probably wouldn't. If he stayed here his entire career, yes.
Yeah.
But
I guess I'm fine with it either way. Just the Blazers have so many retired jerseys. It's crazy.
JD says, y'all get some rest. Tori looks spent. I always love when people, guess if I'm tired or not, or if I'm depressed or not, or what I'm feeling. Just when I'm just sitting here just reading chat. Because when I read chat, sometimes I'll lean back and go like this, and people think I'm depressed or, whatever. It's always funny to see people guess at my energy level and mood. Here, I'll sit back up for you. And here, I got these. I was given these B12 awake patches. They're caffeine patches. I'm gonna try one of them. Maybe I should try one of them right now. But, yeah, nah, I'm chilling. I should contact this company and let them know they should sponsor me, because now you guys are all going to buy one of these, obviously. So. Blinking Morse code. So next week, by the way, our second channel streams Tuesday and Friday. And we'll see if I don't like doing. The off season, we're definitely doing Monday, Thursday. Maybe next season during the season, if you guys want, we can do Tuesday, Friday. I don't know. But Tuesday, Friday next week for picks games. There's no picks on Monday. So since we did Friday today, let's just do Tuesday, Friday next week on our second channel, Blazers Uprise Live. Link in description box below. That's where we're streaming during the off season without post-game shows. There won't be a stream on here from the end of the season up to the draft lottery, okay? And then depending on if we get NBA Uprise off the ground, like our, draft stream will probably still be over here, but I am working on stuff to get NBA Uprise running, working on stuff for playoffs. I'm going to start recording player reviews in the next 3 to 4 days. I have Mateo helping me edit. I have Krish making sick thumbnails for it. So I'm going to try and pre-record as many as possible because I won't have to do all the work. Okay, so daily uploads in the off season. I'm going to start recording the people that are done for the season in the next couple of days. So like Dame, Nurk, Ant, Jeremy Grant, Justice Winslow, Keon Johnson are kind of the 6 that I assume are done for the season. That is safe to assume right now. Cam Reddish could come back, I guess. He's not officially shut down for the season, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm just going to get ahead on those. And then as far as the CBA talks where there was a deadline tonight, that was extended to tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be.
Which makes it sound like they are pretty close on talks and, are just extending it so they can finalize, is what I read into it. So we should have a new CBA soon, which will be interesting as CBA nerds.
Yeah. Do I have family in Fruitland? What the heck? Or this Fruitland? But
Fruitland?
But no, I don't have anyone that would have my last name on their truck that I'm related to.
Who enforces the deadline on that? I mean, it's like a contractual thing, so
yeah. Both
they have
parties
to
just
agree
have
to amend the deadline, or else, I don't know. It's legal talk. I don't know.
Blazers Uprise TikTok.
Oh, I told Cotter I'm only streaming for an hour and a half tonight, and we are an hour and a half in, so. Whitmore versus Walker. I'd take Walker in a heartbeat. I'm not super high on Whitmore.
I like them both a lot. I think I'd take Jarris, though.
Brady, technically, I didn't like because the intro was 3 minutes and we were on, so still got time. Anything else for this stream, Mr. Brandt?
No, thanks everyone for watching. Hope to see you guys on Sunday. We have an early game, 12:30.
Yep.
So roughly 4 o'clock post game show.
3 o'clock.
Or 3 o'clock, yeah. Math's off today, yeah.
Yep, we'll probably do that for, I don't know, an hour and a half. Maybe a little longer. It's in the middle of the day. Go ahead.
You still think the UConn's winning it all?
Yes.
I think they're quite easily the favorite right now.
Yes, I should have picked them to win it all in my bracket pool. I knew they were gonna do. I knew they were underseeded. God, man, I made the same mistake in the Kemba Walker year where they were a 3 seed. I had them losing in the championship and they won it all. So,
yeah. Aeromancer, congratulations to you. Best day in chat or in picks today.
Yeah, he was late for a reason. He was doing his research. On Tuesday, can we have every mod show up at the start of that stream? Because that'd be amazing. Anyway, yeah, so Sunday, middle of the day stream, and then Tuesday is our next game after that. Tuesday, we'll have Blazers Uprise live instead of Monday. So Sunday, middle of the day stream. Tuesday, 2 streams, 1 on second channel before the game, 1 after the game, post-game show. and we can go more in depth on like the national championship game and some prospects and stuff. So next week is the final week of the season. Can't believe it's already here. That's absolutely crazy, but we will have you covered in the offseason, and we'll still be streaming twice a week on Blazers Uprise Live. In the offseason, those streams will be going to 9:30 p.m. start times. We'll be starting them usually when home post-game streams start. So definitely make sure you subscribe to that second channel. It's linked in the description box below. And with that being said, we are out of here. This has been the Blazers Uprise post-game show presented by BetOnline. Use promo code BELIEVE for a 50% reward bonus. The Blazers now are alone in sole possession of 5th best lottery odds. 42.1% chance at the top 4, 10.5% chance at 1 Victor Wembanyama. So we count down the days to May 16th, draft lottery day. Could be a very monumental day for this Portland Trailblazer franchise. Anyway, I hope you all have a good rest of your night and a good weekend. We'll catch you Sunday afternoon. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.